Hi, everyone. Listen carefully, because this is about your dignity, your peace, and the power you hold over your own life. There are people out there who will not respect you, not because you lack worth, but because they haven't yet learned who you truly are. And how you respond to that disrespect will either keep you trapped in frustration or set you free to rise above it. You see, respect isn't demanded, it's commanded. Through how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you respond. So before you react, before you let their words or actions define your value, you must understand these 5 powerful ways to handle people who refuse to honor your presence. Because your destiny depends on mastering this, not letting others' disregard steal your peace or your purpose. Your self-worth is not negotiable. It is not something given to you by others, nor is it something that can be taken away by their actions or words. Yet so many people live their lives allowing the opinions, judgments, and disrespect of others to chip away at the foundation of who they are. But hear this, your value is rooted deeper than human approval. It is established by the Creator himself. Remember the scripture where God says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. That means you were designed with intentionality, with purpose, and with value that no one can erase. Think about a diamond. A diamond's worth isn't determined by whether someone admires it or mocks it. It holds intrinsic value because of what it is, not how it is treated. If someone steps on a diamond or throws it in the mud, does it lose its worth? No, its brilliance remains intact, waiting to be uncovered and recognized. Your worth is like that diamond, unshakable and untouchable by the disrespect of others. Now, ask yourself, why do we allow the disrespect of others to shake our confidence? Why do we sometimes internalize their negative words as truths about who we are? This is where the enemy of your progress and peace often lies. In giving power to external voices over your internal identity. When you let the disrespect of others define you, you are essentially handing them the keys to your emotional and spiritual prison. And no one deserves to be a prisoner of someone else's ignorance or cruelty. In real life, consider the story of a young artist who pours their heart into their work, only to be told it's worthless or unworthy of attention. If that artist begins to believe those words, they will stop creating, stop growing, and stop fulfilling their purpose. But if they recognize that their worth is not tied to applause or criticism, but to the gift and calling placed inside them, they will keep creating despite the noise. The respect or disrespect of others does not dictate their value. It's their belief in their God-given purpose that fuels their resilience. So how do you maintain this unwavering sense of self-worth when the world around you tries to tear it down? It starts with knowing who you are beyond the judgments of people. You must constantly remind yourself that you are a masterpiece, created intentionally, with a destiny that no one can diminish. Every time disrespect comes your way, ask yourself, does this opinion or behavior define who I am, or is it just a reflection of the other person's inability to see my true worth? It also means standing firm in your identity when others try to belittle or dismiss you. This doesn't mean you respond with anger or bitterness. It means you refuse to absorb disrespect as a reflection of your value. Like a tree that stands tall in the storm, you may bend under pressure, but you do not break. You know your roots run deep, nourished by truth, not by the shifting winds of other people's attitude. Imagine a gardener tending to a beautiful garden. The gardener does not allow weeds to overtake the flowers, but pulls them out to protect what is valuable. Your mind and heart are like that garden. You must pull out the weeds of negative opinions and disrespect that threaten to choke your confidence and self-esteem. Guard your inner garden carefully. Ask yourself, am I giving others the power to control how I feel about myself? Am I feeding the weeds of doubt and insecurity? Or am I nurturing the flowers of truth and purpose? These questions are not just to ponder, but to act upon daily, because your destiny depends on the soil of your self-worth being fertile, not polluted. When you maintain your self-worth rooted in truth, disrespect becomes powerless. It no longer shakes you because you know who you are. Fearfully made, wonderfully designed, and created for a purpose that transcends the opinions of others. That is where your freedom begins and where your power to rise above disrespect truly takes root. Setting clear boundaries is one of the most powerful ways to protect your self-worth and guard your peace. When people disrespect you, it is often because you have unknowingly allowed them to cross lines that should never have been crossed. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. They are gates that protect your dignity and keep your life aligned with your purpose. Without boundaries, you become vulnerable, open to damage, and at the mercy of others' disrespect. But when you learn to say no firmly and with respect, you command respect in return. Look at the story of Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. He knew the city was vulnerable without boundaries. The walls were not just physical structures. They were protections for the people, their homes, and their future. Without the walls, enemies could easily invade and destroy everything. In the same way, your life needs boundaries as walls to protect your emotional and spiritual well-being. Without them, people can trample on your kindness, misuse your generosity, and erode your peace. But why do so many people struggle with boundaries? Often it's because we confuse boundaries with rejection or selfishness. We fear that saying no will make others angry or cause us to be unloved. But in truth, failing to set boundaries is what invites disrespect. When you don't communicate your limits, people assume there are none, and they push until they find weakness. You must ask yourself, am I protecting my peace, or am I allowing my life to be a free-for-all where anyone can take what they want? Consider a real-life analogy of a garden again. Imagine you have a fence around your garden. The fence is not meant to shut people out, but to keep animals from eating the plants, to prevent weeds from creeping in, and to define the space where your garden thrives. Without that fence, the garden becomes vulnerable to destruction. Your boundaries are like that fence. They do not make you cold or distant. They make you wise and strong. Setting boundaries requires clarity. It means knowing what you will and will not accept in your relationships and interactions. It means communicating those limits clearly, not aggressively, but with calm authority. You don't need to explain or justify your boundaries to everyone. Your no is enough. The Bible teaches us in Proverbs 25:28, a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. This reminds us that self-control is key to guarding ourselves. When you control your boundaries, you control the atmosphere of your life. That setting boundaries isn't always easy. It often brings discomfort or confrontation. People may push back, test your limits, or accuse you of being harsh. That is when your resolve is tested. Ask yourself, am I willing to endure temporary discomfort to protect my long-term peace? Am I valuing my dignity more than the approval of someone who disrespects me? Think about the parent who sets strict but loving boundaries for their child. At first, the child may resist or complain, but over time, those boundaries create safety, respect, and healthy growth. Boundaries are not barriers to love. They are the foundation of love expressed in discipline and care. In the same way, your boundaries communicate to others that you value yourself and expect to be valued in return. When you set boundaries, you also model for others how to treat you and how to treat themselves. You show that respect is not optional. You teach that relationships are based on mutual honor, not on one-sided giving or tolerance of disrespect. You create an environment where peace and dignity thrive. So today, consider what boundaries you need to establish or reinforce in your life. Are you allowing disrespect because you haven't said no clearly enough? Are you confused about where your limits lie? Remember, setting boundaries is an act of courage and wisdom. It is a declaration that your peace and purpose matter more than pleasing people who do not respect you. When you stand firm in your boundaries, you no longer invite disrespect. You command respect by the very way you honor yourself. That is the power of boundaries. They protect you, preserve your peace, and position you to walk in your purpose unhindered. Responding with calm confidence instead of retaliation is one of the greatest demonstrations of strength you can show when faced with disrespect. It's easy to react with anger, to lash out, or to try to fight fire with fire. But true power lies in mastering yourself, holding your peace, and responding with a clear mind and steady heart. When you respond calmly, you control the situation instead of letting it control you. You show that your value and dignity cannot be shaken by the actions of others. Consider the example of Jesus during his trials. When he was mocked, insulted, and falsely accused, he did not retaliate or raise his voice in anger. Instead, he responded with wisdom, truth, and calm authority. In Peter 2:23, it says, when they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. This teaches us a profound lesson. Strength under pressure is not loud or violent, but quiet, steady, and purposeful. Why is it so tempting to retaliate? Because disrespect wounds us, and our natural instinct is to protect ourselves. But retaliation often escalates conflict, damages relationships, and steals your peace. When you respond in anger, you give the other person power over your emotions and actions. You become reactive instead of proactive. Ask yourself, who truly gains when I respond in anger? Am I defending my dignity, or am I allowing disrespect to drag me into chaos? Imagine a skilled chess player. They don't react impulsively to every move their opponent makes. Instead, they remain calm, think several steps ahead, and respond strategically. They understand that every reaction has a consequence. In life, your response to disrespect is your move on the board. Will it lead you closer to victory or deeper into conflict? Real life shows us many examples of people who chose calm confidence over retaliation and transformed their situations. Consider a leader who faces criticism or disrespect from a colleague. Instead of responding with harsh words or vindictiveness, they listen, remain composed, and address the issue with clarity and professionalism. This approach often earns respect, diffuses tension, and positions the leader as someone in control. Responding calmly does not mean you accept disrespect or allow others to walk over you. It means you reject the temptation to mirror negativity. You keep your focus on the bigger picture, your purpose, your peace, and your dignity. It is a powerful way to demonstrate that your value is not determined by how others treat you, but by how you carry yourself in every situation. How often do you pause before reacting? Do you let your emotions dictate your response, or do you take a moment to breathe and choose your words carefully? That pause, that moment of self-control is where power resides. It is the difference between being a victim of circumstance and being the master of your destiny. Think about a calm river flowing through rough terrain. The water doesn't stop because there are rocks or obstacles. It flows steadily, finding a way forward without losing its essence. Your calm confidence is like that river. It does not mean you are passive. It means you are purposeful. You maintain your direction no matter the obstacles. When you respond with calm confidence, you also set an example for others. You teach that respect is earned, not through loud confrontation, but through measured strength and self-control. You inspire others to rise above disrespect rather than be dragged down by it. So next time you face disrespect, ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that protects my peace and preserves my dignity? How can I be the calm in the storm rather than the storm itself? The way you answer these questions shapes not only the moment, but the course of your life. Remember, retaliation may feel like justice, but calm confidence delivers victory. It keeps your spirit intact and your path clear. Choosing your battles wisely is a vital skill that separates those who live in constant turmoil from those who walk in peace and purpose. When people disrespect you, your first instinct might be to respond to every slight, every insult, every challenge. But the truth is, not every battle is worth your time, energy, or peace. To handle disrespect effectively, you must learn to discern which battles to fight and which to let go. This wisdom preserves your strength and keeps your focus on what truly matters. The Bible teaches us in Ecclesiastes 3:1, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. This verse reminds us that not every conflict demands immediate engagement. Sometimes the right response is to wait, to observe, or to walk away. When you rush into every battle, you drain your emotional and spiritual energy, leaving little room for growth or success in your true purpose. Think about a seasoned warrior who does not charge blindly into every fight. Instead, they assess the situation carefully, weighing the risks and benefits before drawing their sword. They know that conserving their strength for the right moment is the key to winning the war. In life, your battles are no different. If you engage in every conflict, you will exhaust yourself and your effectiveness will diminish. Why is it so tempting to fight every battle? Because disrespect wounds your pride and your sense of justice. You want to defend yourself, prove your worth, and silence your critics. But ask yourself, does engaging in this conflict bring me closer to my goals, or does it distract me? Will this battle strengthen me, or will it weaken my spirit? These questions are crucial for maintaining focus on your destiny rather than getting trapped in the negativity of others. Consider the story of a gardener tending a large field. There are countless weeds trying to take over, but the gardener cannot pull every single one at once. Instead, they focus on the most threatening weeds, the ones that can choke out the entire crop if left unchecked. This strategic approach ensures the garden thrives. Similarly, in your life, some battles must be fought to protect your integrity and peace, but many are distractions that steal your time and energy. Real life provides countless examples of people who wasted years fighting battles that didn't matter, only to realize they lost sight of their true purpose. They allowed disrespect and offense to consume them, leaving them exhausted and unfulfilled. Meanwhile, those who learned to pick their battles rose above the noise and focus on building their dreams. How often do you reflect before engaging in conflict? Do you ask yourself whether the fight is necessary or beneficial, or do you react impulsively, driven by hurt and pride? Developing the discipline to evaluate your battles is a form of self-mastery that protects your peace. Choosing your battles wisely also means understanding that silence can be a powerful weapon. Not every disrespect requires a response. Sometimes walking away or choosing not to engage sends a stronger message than any argument ever could. It shows that you control your emotions and that you will not be dragged down by negativity. Imagine a lion in the wild. It does not attack every animal that crosses its path. It conserves its energy for moments that matter, hunting for food, protecting its pride. When it senses a threat that is not worth its effort, it stands firm, unshaken, knowing its time will come. You too must learn to be like the lion, strategic, patient, and powerful. Ask yourself, what battles have I fought that only drained me? Which conflicts could I have avoided to preserve my strength? How can I develop the wisdom to discern which battles are truly worth fighting? These reflections are essential for anyone serious about walking in their purpose without being weighed down by unnecessary struggles. Remember, your energy is a precious resource. When you fight every battle, you spread yourself too thin. But when you choose wisely, you preserve your power, maintain your peace, and position yourself for greater victories. The key to handling disrespect is not to react to every slight, but to respond with strategy, wisdom, and calm confidence. Focusing on your purpose rather than the opinions of others is the ultimate way to rise above disrespect and keep your life on course. When people refuse to respect you, their words and actions can feel like heavy weights pulling you down. But the truth is, your purpose is a powerful anchor that holds you steady in the midst of storms. If you allow yourself to be distracted or derailed by others' judgments, you risk losing sight of the very reason you were created to be here. The Bible reminds us in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." This verse is a divine assurance that your life is not a random sequence of events, but a carefully designed journey with a purpose. When you fix your eyes on that purpose, the disrespect of others loses its power to define you or dictate your path. Think about an athlete training for a major competition. Along the way, they face criticism, doubt, and sometimes disrespect. But if the athlete's focus is on the goal, the championship, the victory, they learn to tune out the noise and keep pushing forward. They understand that not everyone will see their vision or appreciate their effort, but that doesn't change the importance of their mission. Your life is no different. The disrespect you face is just background noise compared to the call on your life. Why do we often allow the opinions of others to distract us? Because it feels immediate and personal. Human nature is wired to seek approval and acceptance. But ask yourself, whose approval truly matters? Am I living for the applause of people who don't understand my journey, or am I committed to fulfilling the purpose God has placed inside me? These questions help shift your perspective from external validation to internal conviction. Imagine a ship sailing across the ocean. There will be storms, rough seas, and even critics questioning the captain's decisions. But if the captain keeps focus on the destination, adjusts the sails accordingly, and navigates with skill, the ship will reach its port despite the turbulence. Your purpose is your destination. The disrespect and opinions of others are the storms that try to shake you, but they cannot change where you are headed unless you allow them to. Real life is full of stories of individuals who stayed focused on their purpose despite facing immense disrespect and opposition. They understood that their worth and destiny were not tied to temporary opinions, but to a higher calling. Their unwavering commitment propelled them beyond criticism and into greatness. How often do you pause and ask yourself what your true purpose is? Are you letting the judgments of others cloud your vision, or are you using your purpose as a lens to evaluate every situation and every challenge? When your purpose is clear, it becomes easier to brush off disrespect and keep moving forward. Focusing on your purpose also means prioritizing your energy and time. You cannot afford to waste these precious resources on people who do not add value or respect your journey. It requires discipline to turn away from distractions and stay committed to what truly matters. Ask yourself, where am I investing my time and energy? Are these investments helping me move closer to my purpose or pulling me away? Think of a gardener who plants seeds and waters them faithfully despite weeds trying to choke the growth. The gardener's focus is on the harvest, the fruit of their labor. The weeds represent disrespect, negativity, and distractions. If the gardener loses focus on the harvest, the garden will fail to thrive. But if they keep their eyes on the fruit to come, they continue to nurture, protect, and grow. The purpose is your harvest. It's what will bring fulfillment, joy, and lasting impact. When you keep your focus there, disrespect becomes a temporary challenge rather than a defining moment. Remember, living focused on your purpose transforms your mindset. It shifts you from being a victim of disrespect to a victor in your destiny. The opinions of others will never determine your worth, your peace, or your future. Only your commitment to your purpose can do that. As you embrace these principles, maintaining your self-worth, setting clear boundaries, responding with calm confidence, choosing your battles wisely, and focusing unwaveringly on your purpose, you equip yourself to rise above any disrespect that comes your way. Remember, your value is rooted in who you are created to be, not in the fleeting opinions of others. Stand firm, walk with dignity, and keep your eyes fixed on the path that leads to your destiny. May you be empowered to live boldly, love deeply, and lead with strength. Thank you for your time, and I wish you great success and peace as you apply these truths in your life. Good luck.